All right, the biggest positional change that we saw last week in training camp. Jaylen Ramsey, obviously there were whispers. Where would he play in this Pittsburgh Steelers defense after being traded for the Miami Dolphins? Well, they have him kind of in a hybrid role. They've been playing him some at safety, some in the slot. Obviously, that's a role that he knows intimately well. He did it early on in his career at Florida State before switching to outside corner. He did some of that playing in the slot for the Rams when they won the Super Bowl. So, Brock, I wanted your take on this. How difficult is a transition like that? And we've seen it in the past, but what do we think of Jaylen Ramsey's skill set making that move?
It was a predicted move once we realized how physical of a player he was, right? By year 3 or year 4, it was like, man, Jaylen Ramsey, he's physical at the press, but he can bang a little bit. And then you naturally come to the Charles Woodson conclusion of, okay, maybe if the feet work, lose a half of a step, he can go play safety. And then, of course, during that Rams Super Bowl run, it's okay, yeah, Jaylen Ramsey is going to play safety. Now, the biggest difficulty is not in pass coverage. In fact, that's the biggest benefit, right? Any defensive coordinator's dream is a safety who they can have man-to-man, no help anywhere else, because it allows you to do so many other things in the secondary. So that's the excitement there, and they're going to have so much fun doing it. The biggest difficulty is 22 personnel. 21 personnel, and that's what's going to happen. The same way if you have a Justin Jefferson on a rookie corner, you're going to tap your head here and you're going to throw to him every single play. Well, for those first couple of weeks, every time it is a run play, they are going to run right at Jaylen Ramsey. Hey, Jaylen, are you used to a fullback coming at you? Are you used to a pulling guard, a tackle? Are you used to a guy down blocking on you? That's what he's going to have to take on. Now, he has the attitude for it. He has the size for it. But for those first couple of weeks, he will get picked on, so to speak. But I feel that he has more weight in his butt than people think, and he will handle his own. But again, the biggest thing here is, as a defensive coordinator, a whole universe opens up when you have a guy as versatile as Jaylen Ramsey. I'm rooting for him.
And just like you said, a whole universe opens up when you've got a safety that can cover one-on-one. The whole universe opens up when you can establish the run game as an offense. And when I think about in that division, and I mean, who's the team that you want to beat? It's the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to be pounding that rock, and they're going to try to knock on every single door and every single gap. And once they find a little doorway they can hit, they're going to do it a million times. So for Jaylen Ramsey, you've got to set the precedent early that you can handle one-on-one blocking in space. You can meet a running back in the B gap, in the C gap, and take him down.
Yeah, Charles Woodson was probably the last to really make the move successfully and extend his career up by a few more years. But I didn't realize, or I guess I didn't quite remember, he was 36 when he made that move. He was 34 crazy, in the Packers Super Bowl year, 33 when he won a Defensive Player of the Year at cornerback. So Charles Woodson, obviously a one-of-one type of player. But I do think Jaylen Ramsey uniquely suited to make this sort of move, and it should extend his career. Just the way the NFL is going with cornerback, and just the monsters you have to guard week in and week out at wide receiver. You really have to be in tip-top shape physically. Not say safeties don't, but it's just a much different skill set in terms of what you have to do. That it's much more of a cerebral position than corner is in today's NFL. So yeah, Jaylen Ramsey, I think he'll be a huge value add to that Steelers defense. The other one that I was out at Packers practice and I found very interesting, Bo Melton, brother of Max Melton, wide receiver for the first 3 years of his career. They have him playing at cornerback, and I think he's making the team. What I saw, I couldn't believe. The guy looked very comfortable there. Brock, how hard is this transition? We talked about corner to safety and yeah, you can do that. How hard is wide receiver to corner?
This late in a career is really difficult, right? Meaning, if you came into college as a corner and then you flip to wide receiver, flipping back to corner isn't as big of a leap, or vice versa. Sometimes you hear stories like that where a guy can do a lot of things than he had to pinpoint in the pre-Travis Hunter era of football. Yeah. But to my knowledge, outside of high school, these are his first cornerback reps. It obviously runs in the family. Now, this is where I'm going to sound like a hater, but it is important to know he's playing against his own offense. He knows the offense. So where does he stand? We won't know until he's facing an offense that he doesn't know like the back of his hand, an offense that he hasn't been in 3 years. So for that first preseason game when he's out there, probably with the twos, that's when we can really get a full raw assessment of him, because he knows the checks, he knows the motions, he knows what's going to happen. But I'm rooting for him. The more you can do, the more versatile you can be, and the longer you can extend your career.
Okay, Brock, your older brother was on offense, but you played defense.
Yeah.
My old man is in Canton, Ohio, with a gold bust, and he played defense. And my brother played defense. I watched a ton of defense. You watched a ton of offense. We know the other side of the ball. I always dreamt of the day that one of my coaches walked into the O-line room and said, "Young man, you're looking a little too skinny to play offensive line. Would you like to come play defense?" This is a dream for an NFL player. And obviously a guy like Bo Melton, he's 26. He's established himself early in his career as a guy, but that's a crowded wide receiver room. There's a lot of talent. And there's a handful of guys on every roster that head coach is like, "Coordinators, I need you to find a way to have Bo Melton on this football team, because, you know, we need 53 Bo Meltons," is like the phrase, you know, pick a guy and fill that in. And I'm happy for him. I'm going to root for him. I know nothing about cornerback, but I'll tell you, if you're athletic enough to play receiver in the NFL, you should be able to go compete for a spot on a roster, but with no experience. It's crazy. Good luck to Bo Melton.
So he received some first team reps over the weekend.
Okay.
Like I said, it was not a joke.
Okay.
When I saw from him live, I was like, some plays, I was like, he looked like a cornerback. He ran a 4.34 coming out of Rutgers. He has the traits to do it. The last guy the Packers, the Packers had Sam Shields, who was a college wide receiver coming out of Miami, had never played corner. They switched him to corner his first year as a rookie. He was starting that guy in the Super Bowl, playing a lot of reps. So Sam Shields did it before. Bo Melton, could he be the next one? Like I said, I'm not sure if it's going to make a big impact, but that guy's making the team.
And Mike, it's important to note, Jair Alexander walked out that door, and that cornerback room is very thin. And if Bo Melton can fill that role, he would be wiping a lot of sweat off of Jeff Hafley's forehead.
All right, last training camp story. This one's a little lighthearted.
This one's heavy. This one's heavy.
Yeah. Desmond Watson, the Florida defensive tackle, signed as a UDFA with the Tampa Bay Bucks. They are not allowing him to practice. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see why. Not allowing him to practice until he loses more weight. He was 464 pounds at his pro day. Anyone that scouted this guy could be like, had kind of the exact same opinion. This guy, to do what he did at that weight, was actually insane. He's the largest defensive tackle I've ever seen. I mean, 464, I think it was him losing weight to get to that. But they won't let him practice. I've always thought, in a sport where like you're literally paid to be fat, that it blows my mind that some guys get too fat. Like, you're paid to hold 350 pounds.
Mike.
I'm not a fat shaming podcast, but I'm just saying.
Mike.
Yes.
Mike.
Let's hear it.
What's the word that I'm looking for? First off, the headline should read, "Desmond Watson eats Vita Vea." Go back to the picture, Harry.
Also, I feel like this is a
Go back to the picture. First off, this man is not fat. This is what a supreme athlete looks like. Whether you accept it or not is on you, buddy. But Desmond Watson eats Vita Vea. Practice will resume when Vea returns to Earth. Look, there's three ways you can get out of the league. You can underperform, you can eat yourself out of the league, and you can drink yourself out of the league. And we all know people who have done any of those things. Not too often do you see the guys that actually eat themselves out of the league. I've played with a few guys that got so heavy they weren't able to participate for more than 2-3 plays at a time. I'm rooting for this guy. He's a mountain of a man. First time I saw him in college, I was like, you know, what is going on out here? Why is this guy so big? On a field full of giant men, this person looks like a mountain. If they can find a way to get him down a little bit and have him bought in, and, you know, really, you got to have all the teammates on board, right? Because we all eat together. This guy doesn't want to eat, you know, just green beans and turkey breasts every day. If he's sitting next to like, I'm eating bacon and pancakes and waffles every morning. You can't sit with the D line. You can't sit with the O line. unless they're good teammates. I'd love to see this young man play, though. 464 at Pro Day. Oh, my.
And it's important to note he didn't show up on the first day of training camp and the team said, hey, we actually need you to lose 20 pounds. You can't practice until you do, right? No, he was probably told from the moment he got brought in. He was told all spring. He was reminded all summer. And apparently he didn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
So this is a full-time job now. I hope he gets his head on right, because after that first or second preseason game, the team's going to say, you obviously don't want to be here, and they're going to move on from you. So clock's ticking. Let's start shedding those pounds.
Look. I got my last year in the league, I had a mobility injury. Okay. I had like a hip flexor injury. It's what essentially got me out of the league. In 2018, the year before my last year, I broke a bone in my foot. I couldn't run in practice. I couldn't practice, but I was still playing in the game. My weight went from, I'm a 315 to 320 guy. Like when I was an all-pro, I was 318. I was playing at 352. So these things stack up week to week. Next thing you look at the scale, you're 330 and you gulp a little bit, and then you're 340 the next week. I mean, this is just, we got to get him running and get him practicing. I would be of the thought that be like, we have another field for kickers. Let's split the field in half. Let's have half the field be Desmond's, half the field be the kickers, and then we get to practice on the other
when he's out there.
Stop it. Oh, God.
It's a solved problem, though. We have Ozempic now.
The weight thing is hard, man.
Hey, Mike, keep Ozempic out of the NFL. Mike, don't even joke with that. Don't even flirt with that. Cut that out.
Yeah. Well, dude, I'm rooting for him because the man is absurdly talented.
I want him to play.
Yeah.
And he is, I mean, even just watching him at 464, it's entertaining. When you move the way he can at that size, he could be a player.